guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go to this great comeback story that was sent in from a subscriber. That's from a guy, I believe he's in his late 20s, and he shares his story how starting off in life, he definitely was not in the best place. He was overweight, picked on and bullied a lot by kids at school, girls didn't like him, that type of thing. However, because he came from a loving family, and the guy really has something in himself that perseveres and pushes himself, eventually he moves along in life and definitely on multiple fronts has the last laugh. But you're also going to see that this guy, obviously, like many out there, was inexperienced with women. And when he started having experience with them, obviously he was fresh meat, if you will. And you're going to see he gets cheated on. But again, our guy learns and gets to have the last laugh. And the cool thing is, this guy, in spite of obviously going through tough times when he was younger, by him having the last laugh, he's doing great in life and he's not a jerk. He didn't turn into an a-hole like a lot of people turn into when they, are pushed too far, which is nice to hear. So he's going to share his story here, and I thought it'd be a good one to cover today, particularly for all you guys that maybe right now you're not in a place you want to be. Maybe your whole life you've been overweight or picked on, or just things haven't worked out for you. You're never too late to make a change. And it is easier when you're young. It is harder when you get older, especially physically, but it can be done. I mean, did I say that? Did I say it was easier when you're older? It's easier when you're younger. It's harder when you're older, but you can make a change. It says here, hey, SSM. This is a bit of my life story here. It's going to be about how I overcame my self-esteem issues, gained confidence, and the importance of being unapologetically yourself. It's the only way to be, bro. I'll start off with some background information leading up to my college days where I met Ashley and learned these valuable life lessons. I grew up very privileged but not spoiled. My dad is completely self-made. He grew up literally dirt poor in a trailer park. He's the hardest working man I know and a major inspiration to me. He and my mom have been married now for nearly 37 years and still doing great. My mom, on the other hand, grew up fairly wealthy, but growing up with that lifestyle, she always stayed an extremely generous person. Well, that's great to hear because, sadly, a lot of people that grew up with families with money turn into a-holes. Obviously, she's different. After they were married, my mom's wedding gift to my dad was that she paid off all of my dad's student loan debt, which he owed from getting multiple degrees. Wow, I'm sure that's very generous of your mom, and I'm sure probably he fought that tooth and nail because a proud guy, hardworking guy is like, I want to pay it off myself, but obviously he made up for it. Today, my mom's parents have sold their company and retired comfortably and left each family member a very generous portion of their wealth in a family trust and set us up with financial planners to protect our family assets and invest our portion of what they left to us. Well, that's great. You have family money to fall back on, but still, you're a guy, and I know this, that is going to still, carve your own way in the world. As all guys should. My mom and dad were excellent. I never was deprived of anything, but to be completely honest, I went to college believing we were an average middle-class family. Neither of my parents care much for fancy cars or material possessions. Dad likes to tinker with drones and fish, and Mom enjoys cooking and her, as well as her vegetable garden. So, sounds like your family is your parents and obviously your grandparents have money are the types that they have wealth, but they don't flaunt it. And that does happen. I've known some people in my life that they're very wealthy, and you would never know it, ever, by how they behave, the vehicles they drive. And I've known people that on the outside seem like they're wealthy, but they have barely two nickels rubbed together because they all spend on material things to show off. It's amazing. Spending tons of money, borrowing money. I think it was Dave Ramsey has something a line like this, the financial guy. Borrowing money to buy things to impress people who you never know and don't care. Something like that. And I'm not surprised your dad is frugal and materialistic because he grew up dirt poor. I'm almost into my 30s now and look back on my childhood and had always been a fat kid. Initially, I had no issues making friends, and although I looked different than most of the kids in my age group, my weight up until elementary school was never something on my mind. Over time, though, I did start to attract negative comments and attention. My least favorite day on the calendar was the mile run test in gym class. I would have paid a king's ransom to be invisible on this day. Dude, I remember that in junior high. We had to do the mile run twice a year. And in 7th grade, when I start, 7th grade was middle school for me. It was K through 6 for elementary and 7, 8, and 9 for middle school for me. And at that point in the 7th grade, I was still chubby. because I went through a couple of years of being chubby. Yeah, it happened to me. And I remember doing that mile run like the first or second week in the 7th grade, and I was terrible, and I felt like such a loser. At that point, then I started lifting weights, and thank God I had a growth spurt at the same time, riding bike in the neighborhood, trimmed the weight. I never wanted to go through that humiliation again. The fucking mile run. Ugh. I mean, I gotta tell you my time, guys. Y'all laugh your ass off. My weight combined with my asthma made this nothing short of an exercise in public humiliation for me. Imagine an entire class of your peers standing by watching you struggle and laugh at you as you are wheezing to breathe the little oxygen you can get as you cross the finish line minutes after they all had completed their runs. I was crushed. Yeah, I remember that. Of course, as kids are, it didn't take long for the class bullies to establish themselves, and I became an easy target. Thankfully, because I was bigger than everyone else at my grade, the bullying never got physical, but plenty of awful and hurtful comments were hurled at my way on pretty much a daily basis. Yeah, they never had the balls to actually get physical because they figured you were a big dude and you could probably tackle their asses to the ground and beat the hell out of them, but they're still going to say shit. Over time, the bullies had more entertaining targets since I did my best to ignore them, and they eventually got bored of me. If there's anything to motivate a young guy to somehow, some way, get help, lose the weight, get stronger in shape, it's fucking bullies. Never forget the bullies, guys, that you may have had in life. That will push you when you don't want to push yourself to improve in some capacity. Just before middle school, I got the bad news that we were moving. My dad was an executive with a huge Fortune 500 company. This was the first of many moves in my childhood. In total, I went to 2 middle schools and 4 high schools. As you can imagine, that is 6 schools in 6 different times. I got to make new friends and also experience 6 schools worth of new bullies. So wherever you went, the bullies were there. It goes to show human nature is human nature. When particularly bullies and kids see weakness, they attack. That's rough. 6 times in middle school. And what the hell did your dad do? Sounds more like he was in the military, but obviously not. Despite the harassment, I was always outgoing enough to land a small group of friends whom I shared common interests with. Some of these individuals I'm still close with today. With so much moving during that time in my life, I had a hard enough time making friends, let alone pursuing a first girlfriend, even though I really wanted to. I went to every homecoming dance without a girlfriend or date, just joined by a small group of my friends and their girlfriends. And when prom finally came around, I got up to the courage to ask a girl that I had a crush on to be my date for the dance with some flowers and chocolates. But unfortunately, she was a grade younger and had a family trip that weekend and was unable to attend. You asked her to the prom with a bunch of flowers and chocolates? Smack! Look, Forrest Gump, that's not how it works. Now, whether she actually had a family event or not, who knows? But this is the stuff we have to do to learn. I've done plenty of dumbass shit when I was young, too. So yeah, I got denied in front of our high school full student parking lot on a sunny spring afternoon. Haha, what can you say? I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. She asked her out publicly with chocolates and flowers? Oh, God, man. I know you're cringing now at that. The girl was so nice about it, though, and even dispelled the nasty rumors that circulated that I was crying and she turned me down because I was too fat to dance with. To this day, I owe her a drink, and thank you for being one of the good ones. My fairly unique and unconventional childhood taught me a lot about being comfortable being alone and by myself. Being independent, finding inner strength to persevere through the difficult times. You cannot expect anyone to hold your hand and go with you. You have to do some things alone. Yep, that's what I learned. Now on to college. Now our guy's life's starting to turn around here. Thankfully, in my later high school years, 17, 18, I got a good boost of metabolism and a growth spurt. Thank the Lord. I was my full height at 13. Beginning of 7th grade, 12 years old, I was like fucking 5 feet tall. And by the end of the summer, right before 8th grade, I was 5'10". And that really helped me stretch it out as well as lifting. But some people don't have growth spurts till 17. My nephew, I thought he was going to be 5'2" his whole life. Then boom, motherfucker's like 6'1" now. It's crazy. I was still overweight, but I had really slimmed down. By the time move-in day rolled around, I was still 6'4", weighing around 230. And I got in the habit of going to the gym a few days a week. Although I was not very muscular in tone, but I was happy at how I looked for the first time in a long time. So, man, that's some serious growth spurt. 6'4", you're a big dude. And 6'4", 230, if you're lifting, that's That's not fat at all. That's just a big solid dude. I was intent on entering college with the ambition to put my best self out there and embrace a lot of new opportunities and new friends. Good for you, dude. As well as new experiences. I had been accepted to one of my parents' alma maters, a large SEC school, which suited me perfectly as I wanted to join the Greek life, and I love college football. This school was also far from home. I wanted a fresh start in a new area. If there's any good you can take from half a dozen movies and starting at new schools before half a dozen moves and starting at new schools before your 18th birthday, it's that you will be extremely well prepared to hit the ground running in college. You're so used to new places and meeting people, yeah. I definitely had a leg up on my peers in that aspect. Making new friends as a college freshman would take me all 72 hours. I did just that. I was at a fraternity party making pre-rush connections with guys who would go on to become some of my soon-to-be closest friends with 4 hours of my parents dropping me off. Good for you, man. That's great. It's awesome how you went through all that hell growing up, middle school and high school and everything, but you didn't turn into an angry as fuck asshole. And nobody could blame you if you were angry at people because of being bullied and all that. And thanks to the growth spurt and lifting, you lost a bunch of the weight. It's good for you. I eventually pledged and joined the same frat whose party I attended on move-in day. As things go in that environment, I quickly began to realize I was getting a lot of female attention. Yep. There you go, guys. Status. He's in that frat, and therefore, boom, he's elevated. Now it helps that he's 6'4" and 230, and he lost a ton of the body fat, so he's just a big dude, a big bear of a guy. It's always the petite girls that love the giant dudes because they make them feel safe. So he already, as a freshman, because he's in that frat, has more status and rank than a fucking average senior guy, just being in that frat. So, of course, he's getting female attention. So, you know what? This is how you get some experience. For the first time in my life, I felt desired by women. With my shitty past in high school and the plan I made for how I wanted my college experience to be, I knew the last thing I wanted was to interrupt that time in my life, which so far was going perfectly with a messy relationship. I eventually lost my virginity freshman year in a one-off hookup just to get it over with, and up until junior year of college, I only ever entertained sporadic hookups or a few friends with benefits. Well, again, being in a frat, I'm sure that was just a regular weekend for you. Junior year, I met Ashley at a football tailgate, and I found her completely stunning. A perfect blonde with blonde hair Southern belle with all the good curves in the right places. Wearing a sundress that showed off her body, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we enter Ashley. She's so amazing, blah, blah, blah. We call this the unofficial sorority uniform, much like our male equivalent frat uniform that is a college-branded golf polo with khaki shorts and New Balances. Oh, for goodness sake. She stood out amongst all the other girls wearing the similar outfits. Probably my first mistake was putting her on a pedestal and believing she was far outside my league. Smack! Well, that's to be expected. This is going to become your first girlfriend. Your love at first sight, and you saw the clouds parted and fireworks went off when your eyes met each other at the football game. We've all been there. I've done that stupid shit too. You know, we all have to learn, guys. Many of you, same thing. You admit it. But as fortune would have it, not only did we hit it off that day, we shortly after began what would be my first real relationship and first love. The first relationship and first love. We're all us guys. Our head is in the clouds, and we imagine marrying her and kids and vacations and all these things. And yep, been there, done that, and done stupid shit. I was over the moon for her, making all the usual first-time mistakes. I was Mr. Nice Guy, ignoring any red flags because how could my sweet angel have any flaws, right? Of course, all our sweet angels, our first loves are perfect angels. Wrong. The first year went pretty well. I don't recall any significant fights or even disagreements. My senior year and Ashley's junior year, we hit a major hurdle. She confessed to me her desire to be married by age 23. 23? Nope. Goodbye. Toss her to the side of the road. Unfortunately, that's not how this works. Keep in mind, I'm barely 21 at this point, so my head is spinning. Don't get me wrong, I love this gal, but I wasn't stupid. I know you're not stupid, dude. But that is a stupid idea. Marry 23, you're fucking kids. You barely know each other. But, you know, obviously she knows probably the connections, and at this point you come from a wealthy family and all that. What's a girl to do? they're plotting and planning. Now, I'm an independent, happy-going young man, and the last thing I want to do at this time is get into a marriage, and even worse, be even given a deadline just to do that. Yeah, well, your dad would slap the shit out of you for doing that. But that's the South for you. Those Southern belles are after what we would call the MRS degree. Once junior, senior year rolls around, these girls lose interest in fraternity parties, and they start going to pre-med/pre-law social functions and mixers, scouting out their future husbands. And of course, many of these women are on to husband number 2 before they hit 30 years old, and fully funded by husband number 1, who's more than likely funding her escapades looking for new men, courtesy of alimony payments. There you go. Be warned, gentlemen. He says, beware, fellas. More than a few of my frat brothers fell for the trap or gave into their girlfriend's regimented timelines for marriage and kids. It doesn't work out well. Smack to the dumbass frat brothers. There you go. I tell you guys, when they start getting in there, at the very least, early 20s, definitely mid-20s, they're scouting husbands. And the type of guys they wouldn't give the time of day to when they were younger, now they're giving them attention only because of potential good, promising careers that can give them the life and lifestyle they want. Right there. Shortly after the marriage 23 revelation, the relationship I had with Ashley began to deteriorate. We were fighting more often. I could feel her pulling back. She was not much of a party gal, and the girls' nights out were just her and her friends drinking wine and watching The Bachelor. So you think. The one thing I felt secure of is our relationship is that she was not the cheating type. Boy, was I wrong. Yep. So many guys say it. Remember he said, not my sweet angel earlier? Yep, not your sweet angel. Nope, yes, your sweet angel too. One day at the gym, I noticed a guy chatting her up. I recognized him from a different frat on campus. I didn't think much of it at first. Maybe they had a class together or something. But as the odd behavior continued, she got stingy with her phone, something that never before occurred. I demanded we swap phones, fully unlocking, no hiding anything, and I said this stern and loud. It was the first time the only time I ever yelled at her. She reluctantly agreed. I discovered with pictures, videos, and texts on WhatsApp that she was cheating on me for what looked like at least a month, maybe more. That sucks, dude. Pictures, videos. So I'm assuming she was recording, study sessions, if you will. She couldn't just break up with you. Nope, she had to keep you around just in case, but also try to rope in another guy. Probably the most angry and betrayed and alone I've ever felt. Too self-conscious to tell my best friends, too ashamed to talk to my dad, who today I consider a best friend and mentor, and I was just sick to my stomach. Bro, many of us have been there, as me, and I know the pain. It sucks, especially your first love, because obviously, again, you probably imagined an amazing life with her and all that, and there you go. That's what she does to you. That is your, but you can see looking back, where things were going downhill and declining and declining and declining. And instead of breaking up with you, she then had to find your replacement. Someone with integrity would have broken up with you when you're fighting and all that bullshit started. Nope. She kept you around just in case, finding your replacement. That's typically what a lot of women do. That's why when the bullshit starts, it's time to part ways. I wasted almost my last 2 years of college for nothing. So many chances to have fun with my friends and go on trips to make memories. I passed to spend time with her, and now all those memories to do nothing but disgust me. Well, it's your life, bro, and I'm sure you'll... But here's the thing. Look what you learned. Because if you were older and went through that same thing with her, you could have married her at this point. And then you're on the hook for alimony and all sorts of stuff, and then, the family wealth that could be impacted by this. Although you said you had trust set up. But the point is, it would have been worse. Better this happened when you were young and you didn't propose to her or get married. Could have been worse, man. At least you learned something. How I recovered. This process ended up taking me a few years, and to be honest, I still have more work to do. That's normal, man. I don't think I'll ever be completely finished. We broke up that night. I discovered the cheating. I blocked her on everything and have not spoken to her since. Damn, dude. That says a lot. A lot of guys would go through the roller coaster and she'd be begging to come back and they would think about it, and, but not you. That's good. It was a clean breakup and no looking back. I eventually told all my boys what went down and they came through with me as if they were actual brothers. Those are good friends. I ended my undergraduate on a high note thanks to these guys, and they'll be my friends for life just because of that. But with my undergrad ending, I had been accepted into an Ivy League business school back in the Northeast, just an hour from my parents. I want to know where you went. I believe it was the best decision at the time and still do. Emotionally, I wasn't fully moved on, or even if I kept telling myself I was. At my new school, I plunged myself into the curriculum and shut off my social life. I felt very alone, once again being so far removed from my good friends and in a very different social atmosphere. I did try the Tinder thing for a bit, maybe out of boredom or loneliness, but with no success. Smack! Come on, dude. Tinder's a shithole. Usually they were either after a free dinner or would ghost me afterwards, or if we got to multiple dates, the girls bailed on me as soon as I told them I was not into that I was into rifle ranges as a hobby. Oh, I'm sure in the Northeast that definitely, given the sad, tragic things that happened over these last few years and being the Northeast, I'm sure a lot of those gals were like, no thank you, and they ran away. But also, man, you're still getting over being cheated on, having your heart broken, so I'm sure you just weren't in the right place to date anyway. I've competed in USPSA competitions for nearly 12 years currently, and it's so fun. Some people like to golf or bowl. I like to go to the rifle ranges, and neither of my parents were into that either, and we never hunted. Dealing with that repeated rejection simply for political differences made me realize I had to show more of my true self outwards. I put pictures and videos of my competitions on social media, drinking beer at football games, going to comedy clubs, etc. Anything so that people know what you see is what you get with me. I never got into any more relationships in grad school despite trying. Shortly after grad school, the dreaded COVID times happened. I like how he said he's being who he is. And he's displaying on social media and I guess the dating apps at the time who he is. So he's not wasting any more time, because when it comes to politics, that just, especially nowadays, don't waste your time in terms of pretending to be something you're not. Because it's going to waste your time and their time, and you don't need any fucking drama. Be who you are, and the people that have similar views and everything, they'll be drawn to you and everything like that. And people don't, they'll just, they'll move on. End of story. During COVID, sadly, I must admit I let myself go too much. Thankfully, I secured a good job with a lot of growth potential during this time and started making good money. Well, good job on getting the new job, or the first job making money, and not so good job putting on a ton of weight during COVID. We got to get you to get rid of that. I got in the routine of work and home, then repeat. I was on my grind and fully committed, but I severely neglected myself physically. Can't do that, brother. Remember your childhood getting made fun of and all that? But I get, obviously, you were very unhappy. After about 2 years of this cycle, I weighed well over 300 pounds. Shit, dude, that's a big weight gain. I was living with my parents at the time, saving for a home in my mid-20s. I felt like such a loser. I was successful on paper, but a laughingstock in my own head. I quit trying to seek a relationship altogether because I couldn't even look myself in the mirror, let alone think other people would find myself in my condition attractive. Well, bro, we all hit roadblocks. Okay? All guys can go through this, but now it's time to make a change. To hit the gym, maybe talk to a doctor, make sure everything's okay, get on a healthy eating plan. Not dieting. And when I say dieting, I mean the right type of fit. I mean you're starving yourself, but on a healthy plan, and hitting the gym. And because you're in your mid-20s, it's going to be a lot easier shaving off that weight than it would be when you're much older. We can all go through setbacks, guys, and let ourselves go a little bit, but you got to do something to get back on track. It says, then the switch flipped. One day I landed on David Goggins and Cam Hanes videos. I saw two men pushing themselves to the breaking point and not quitting, but asking for more. I watched more and more from guys like this, Joe Rogan, as well as USSM. I felt a burning inspiration I hadn't had before. The voices in my head of all the bullies laughing at me over the years. My first and only love at the time, Ashley cheating on me, and the reality of being a fat loser at my parents' house in my mid-20s all began to make me angry. Angry that I've been not letting those voices win for years and did nothing about it. You know what, guys? Sometimes to push yourself forward, you need to have an enemy. And if that enemy is your past and things you did wrong and the bullies that made fun of you and the people did you wrong and the girls that cheat on you or hurt you, if that's what it takes to push you when you don't want to go to the gym, when you don't want to put in the extra work, whatever that may be to better yourself, you need to imagine, have that enemy, the competition to push you to do that. That's what it takes, anger. Let that anger and hate towards those motherfuckers that made your life a living hell as a childhood make you always to push you when you don't want to go to the gym, that it's raining outside and all you rather do is sit at home and watch a Game of Thrones marathon or something like that. Nope. Think of those assholes that gave you shit. And that'll get you off the couch to go to the gym, do your time, put in a good workout, come home, and then you can watch a little bit of a Game of Thrones marathon or something like that. The anger, you can use it for something positive. Over the next few weeks, I sought out a local doctor and found my testosterone and vitamin levels were well below the norm and began TRT. I became dedicated to the gym, specifically powerlifting, while also focusing on flexibility and grip strength for my competitions. I bought my own home and 2 wonderful cats who are my children. Haha. In 1 year, I lost over 80 pounds. Man, that's a comeback. Good for you, brother. Seeing the doctors, doing what you have to do, the gym. Obviously, you were eating better. Here come the fucking sirens again. Got that house. Awesome. Mid-20s. And you adopted 2 cats. I couldn't be more proud of you. I'm currently within the 20 pound of the weights I was at after my freshman year of college, and I will get there and keep going until I'm satisfied. In my opinion, the ideal male body is Brad Pitt as Achilles in the movie Troy. Yeah, he was. I think that was the most jacked Brad Pitt was in that movie. That's pretty badass, but you're not going to be going around with 3% body fat your whole life. That was for the fucking movie, and I guarantee the second they filmed those shots of Brad Pitt, in that movie, those certain scenes, Brad Pitt was eating a goddamn cheeseburger and chicken fingers and banging Angelina Jolie behind the scene. That's what was going on there. But muscle mass wise, you can, try to match and mirror that with a healthy diet. I began dressing better, ditched the frat boy attire, and got really into men's high-end fashion brands, especially now, and they fit me great and look good on me. If you're 6'4", probably like 250 or something, you probably need a good tailor to make it look right, because big, massive dude like you. That brings us to today. I've been in an 8-month relationship with a new girl. Hey, look what happens when you get your shit together. We can call her Jess. Jess, huh? Short for Jessica. There's nothing good comes from Jessica's, but he said that's her code name. I'm apprehensive to move quickly, but so far we have a lot in common. Take your time, there's no rush. Jess and I actually met at a church group for young adults about a year before I started making those significant changes in my life. She saw me at my lowest and still wanted me when I began to change for the better. Hey, that's good, man. That's real good. But remember, you come from money, so you always have to be on your guard. A few months of my transformation journey, she approached me and asked me out. I was floored. Jess is beautiful, curvy, black-haired Italian gal. I like the Italian girls, dude. She certainly doesn't lack confidence either. She approached me after our group meeting that Sunday morning and said that she was very impressed with the weight loss that I was showing, and she admired my dedication in making such a difficult change to my life. Maybe she was overweight when she was younger too. Seriously, that's a possibility, and so she knows what it's like. She went through hard times too and persevered, and she met a guy that's like her. It's a possibility. Since then, everything has been going great in my life. Each of our families are very fond of each other and are very similar. I get along great with her dad and her 3 brothers. We've even taken each other along on family trips outside the country. Everything so far seems promising, and I'm happy as I've ever been and excited for the future regardless of what happens. Thanks again, Jay. Bro, that's a great story. I really enjoyed reading that and reading this twice. I read it when I was having breakfast. So good for you. So what I say is this, is that continue on doing what you're doing, eating healthy, hitting the gym and all that. Mix up your workouts and everything to keep things fresh and and challenging for your body. Keep pushing yourself in your career. Have a good work-life balance. You're on your grind with moving up in your company, whatever you're doing, but you're not neglecting your body or anything like that. You're with her, you said 8 months. Great. That's still the honeymoon phase. Keep things as they are. Don't let yourself get pee-whipped. Be realistic. Don't put on the pedestal. And just take it slow. But don't rush in anything. And don't even think of having her move in with you for many more years if you're still with her at the time, unless you're thinking about marrying her. I can tell you're a relationship guy. I can tell you one day you want to have a wife and kids. Okay. But I think with your own life experience and watching this channel and learning things from others' mistakes, that can have you well prepared. You'll be what I think is referred to as the purple pill guy. You have the knowledge, but you're a relationship guy, want kids one day. And I think you're going to make one hell of a dad when you're ready because of things you went through. And I think it's great to have a good relationship with your parents and all that. So that's good. So guys, those of you right now may be struggling, you're overweight, you're unhappy, you're not in the place you want to be, you can make a change. And of course, the younger you are, it is easier in terms of bodies, with your body. The older you are, it is harder, but you can do that. But you have to persevere. And like this guy, he used his anger and his bad experiences to motivate him, to push him, when the last thing he wanted to do is get off the couch and put down the Doritos and hit the gym workout. So good for him. But just make sure you don't make the same mistakes you did with your first girlfriend, Ashley, you do with this new girl, codenamed Jess. And I think you're going to be okay. But I would never, ever let on any kind of info about the wealth you obviously your grandparents are rich and your parents are well off, and you obviously have a trust fund. Okay, fair enough. But you're a guy making it on your own anyway. But I'd keep that shit quiet, and just be careful and see where it goes. But don't rush into anything. Take your time. You're the one. Remember, women have the keys, hold the keys to the bedroom. Men hold the keys to relationships, and you have that power. And remember that. And if you learn from your mistakes, learn what you learn, you take in what you learn here, you're going to be okay. And you're a good guy. And I'm glad to hear you're doing so well. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Give this guy a shout out for his success and persevering in life. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.